Hello and welcome to another episode of the FSA podcast. My name is Brent Cromer. I own multiple business. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I don't love the phrase serial entrepreneur because it sounds like someone who picks something up, sets it down. I have 3 businesses that are doing quite well, scaling each and every one of them. And I want to show you the different ways and different methods that I use to scale 3 extremely different businesses. But today, what we're going to cover is sales and sales mentality. And guys, I apologize if you guys follow this channel. I have been MIA for about 1 to 2 weeks. We just did our very first ever C4F client retreat. Had a few clients fly in from all over the country, and then a few close friends and business partners as well. We rented a multi-million-dollar cabin up in the mountains, and we spent the whole weekend skiing and having some adult beverages and hot tubbing and playing trivia, hanging out. It was a wonderful time, absolutely wonderful time. It was the first event that I've ever done, and I cannot recommend it enough. I've made what felt like a personal friendship already just from Zoom has now expanded into a legitimate friendship with a lot of these guys, which is very cool. But today, what I want to talk about is the sales mentality that you should have when you get a no on the call. So it might not always be a no. It might be a soft no. It might be a not yet. It might be something, can I get started next month? Something like that, right? So much of what I talk about on this podcast is how to overcome objections, different phrases, different, reframes, different ideas and concepts that you can use on these calls to get people to think differently, to act differently, to do something that may be uncomfortable, but is for the betterment of their progress, right? But I had someone ask me yesterday on a call, hey, you still get no's, right? And I'm like, well, of course I still get no's. I'm not closing at 100%. Of course not. But it got me thinking, I don't want to come off as someone. A lot of gurus out there claim that they can close anyone, everyone, the Grant Cardones, those guys, right? I don't really align with those sales tactics, but no, I do not close at 100%. In fact, historically, I closed right around last year for the consulting business was around 69%, which I think is quite good, considering we have some cold leads and things like that, but nowhere near 100. So what I want to talk about is something a lot of people don't, is your mentality when you do get a no, okay? So the reality is, right, you're going to get no's. Like, you may hop on a call and you had great rapport, you had a solid pitch, and then you pitch your service and the price, and it just doesn't go anywhere, right? You get it's too expensive, I need to think about it. You pull all the tricks out of your hat, you do every reframe, you try to go full Tony Robbins and offer them like a new perspective, but it just doesn't happen, right? And a global statistic is that 80% of sales don't close on the first try. Now, that's globally. So that would say a 20% closes is technically average across all industries, which is tough, right? Like, that's not a legitimate metric that anyone can use to make decisions, but it is fascinating, right? That 80% of the time people just don't buy on the first swing, okay? But to us, it still feels pretty rough because we just spent an hour or 45 minutes on the call with somebody. We felt like it was done, it was good, the door was about to be closed, and then it just doesn't, right? And then I deal with a lot of business owners that ask, like, am I terrible at this? Am I good enough? Like, why do I suck? And it can make you start to feel like, I just need to push harder, right? Next call, I'm not getting off the call without a no. Next call, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to go even further. I'm going to go until they either buy or die, right? And the thing is, that sounds pretty desperate, right? And it is desperate in a lot of ways because you're being someone who maybe you're not traditionally on your calls, okay? And that's really hard because then when you don't close those calls, now we're in a frenzy. It's like, I don't even know who I am anymore on these calls. I don't know what process to follow. I've been trying different things left and right and none of it's working. So what did work and when? And now you got to tear it all down and restart. And it's not worth it. It's not worth the frustration. Closing does not mean that you failed. It is part of the game. It is part of the process. It's part of being a business owner. So I want to talk about your sales mentality and shifting it when you get a no, okay? The goal on the call is not necessarily to close them. It is to help them, right? And sometimes helping somebody doesn't come all at once. Maybe you have a friend who's in a sad relationship and you got to break down those walls to get them to maybe build up the courage to leave, right? Or you maybe ask someone out on a date and it doesn't work, but you're that much closer, right? And so the way that I think about sales is, if I get a no, it's like, okay, well, maybe they're 12 months out from ever making a decision, and now they're 6 months, now they're 3 months, right? You have to have confidence in your follow-up game so that you don't feel like you have to push them, and come off as a sleazy salesperson on the sales call. You have to understand, like, there are going to be more opportunities with this lead, and the more confident you are with that process, the more authentic you're going to be, because then you're okay with not closing on that call. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't push in a healthy way, right, and challenge people and shift their perspective, but if you check all those boxes and they don't move forward, that's okay. Don't let it kill your entire day. You are that much closer. Have an abundance mindset. Okay, so success on a sales call is getting them closer to becoming the person or making the decision that they need to get X, Y, and Z result that you provide. Okay, so I felt like I had to get this across to everyone, that you will not close every deal. Okay, but if you know an exact nurturing sequence after that call, like, they're going to get this resource, this testimonial, I'm going to follow up at days 14, 30, 45, and 60. I'm going to check in with them. I'm going to continue sending resources. I'm going to set a follow-up date from that call, because there's short-term and long-term follow-up. I was referring more to long-term, but short-term would be like, hey, let's chat next Tuesday after you get paid, and then, see what that looks like. And then you're still going to nurture them in between. So make sure that if you're not confident in your sales follow-up process, that you just write it down. What are my touch points? What do I say? How do I nurture them? Because there has to be 3 beliefs for anybody to buy: belief in you, believe in the system, believe in themselves. So evaluate after the call. Did they believe in me? I'm not sure. I might want to send some case studies and testimonials. Did they believe in the process? Maybe. If no, then you're going to want to send maybe a champion client, to have that conversation with them. Maybe case studies and referrals. And then if they don't believe in themselves, then you're going to have to show them how someone else from their position didn't believe in themselves. They took the step and then they got the results, right? That could be a client interview that you send them. That could be some YouTube videos like this that you send them, where you talk about a specific situation, right? So they have to have all 3 beliefs to feasibly take that next step without it just being like a, hey, sure, why not, like a wing it type of deal, right? So evaluate what is missing, and then tailor your nurturing process and your follow-up process to that, to make sure that you can check those boxes. And here's a hack, guys. You can ask them. You can ask them what belief is missing. You're allowed to. That's not like, I know that seems way too simple, but you could say, hey, listen, I'm on a lot of these calls, and typically when someone doesn't move forward, it's usually a lack of one of 3 things, right? It's a lack of me, a lack of belief in the process and the system, or lack of belief in yourself. Like, no wrong answer, but and you're not going to hurt my feelings, but which one isn't quite there for you? Okay, try to handle it on the call, but then your follow-up process is going to be very much tailored towards that. Now, the nurturing process pre-call should be really addressing those things in a really good system. So you're addressing them pre-call, handling it on the call, and then your follow-ups are going to be less, but you're that much closer when you handle it all throughout the sequence, as opposed to just sales call and follow-up, or God forbid, just follow-up. I hope this helps, guys. So again, you're allowed to not close deals, okay? Doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make you awful at your job. It just means that you have to be more well-rounded on your pre-call, within the call, and post-call process. And the more confident you are that you can still close them on the back end, the less pushy you are on the sales call. Hope this helps, guys. Everyone take care. If you guys have to, if you guys have any questions, you guys can send them in and I'll answer them on this podcast as well. Thanks.